Danielle, what makes you feel the most vulnerable?
What makes me feel the most vulnerable is when my skin decides to freak out on me. I am still extremely acne prone, even though I've done Accutane 3 separate times. But once in a while, I'll forget to check a ingredient deck of a product, or I'll think I checked it, or they reformulate it and it'll start breaking me out again. And it just, it slides me back into that phase when my skin was out of control. And, with the pressure of being on camera all the time, it's just like, it's especially re-triggering, but in a very different and much bigger way. So that vulnerability is still very much alive, and that's something I go through all the time.
Okay, so I've been a little bit stressed with our first shoot week because it's trying to make the most of the time that we have together.
Yeah.
Trying to get in all of our guests. You have the occasional cancellation, which is just life. It happens.
It happens.
But
yeah.
it means so much to us. And I guess my stress around it is really just excitement. But
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going really good.
It's going really good. Honestly, this has been so flowy.
Yeah.
We have not rehearsed anything. We haven't had a script in any way. And we want to keep it like that. We want to keep it super organic, super real.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're not even prepping questions.
No.
Which is kind of hard, both being professional interviewers.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're really challenging ourselves to be real and raw. And that's what we want more of. And that's what we want to see more of, which is why we're doing this. So it feels really good.
It feels really good, yeah.
This episode is so exciting. We have Danielle, who is the
acne guru.
She is so informative, and not only does she have all of the facts, she also opens herself up and is just so holistic in the way that she approaches her work.
Yeah.
Mind, body, dare I say spirit.
Yeah.
And I think for both of us, having had difficult experiences with acne that affected our mental health in different ways.
Yeah.
But all three of us did. It was a really powerful conversation. So I hope you all really like this one, and that it resonates with some of you, and you feel seen and you feel heard, and you even get some tips from Danielle.
I actually heard her on a podcast. Now, I just remembered it while we were doing the interview during the time that I was searching for acne solutions because I was going through severe depression from my breakout. And I actually remembered it now. It's so weird how sometimes you're like, wait, no, there's no way. You just remembered it. I remembered hearing her on a podcast talking about this because I was so desperate to find a solution for myself. And I really feel like she helped me. And I'm so excited to tell her this because—
What a full circle moment.
Yeah, it actually helped me because I was like, oh, and that's when I did the research. That's when I found her on Instagram. That's when I DM'd her.
Yeah.
What? That's wild.
Somehow the universe works like that sometimes.
It really does. And you know what? It really got me through that. So I hope in some ways our viewers are able— if you're going through this, please know that we've all gone through it. The Sephora Beauty Director, the acne guru, James, the celebrity makeup artist, but not everyone. Me.
Really good looking.
Yeah, really good looking, who has no flaws. You can't. Anyway, we were so excited to have Danielle here. She really was an absolute game changer and super inspiring. And
we hope you love this.
We hope you love this.
We'll see you at the end.
Thank you for doing this.
I know this worked out perfectly.
I know. I'm so happy.
Move my
Loud
down.
for you, James.
Do you want to move it down?
Is this good though?
Yeah, it's totally fine, but I can move it down if it's more comfortable.
I prefer at least 6 inches, but if 4 is what I need to work with,
Oh
I
my
can do that
gosh.
Only 6?
Only 6?
Minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah, 6 minimum.
The Beauty Manifest. Woo.
Oh, that was sexy.
Right? I love a clapper.
It also sounds kind of dirty, right?
It's just, yes, I love a clapper.
Where's my clapper, baby?
All right.
Okay, so we're here with Danielle. In fact, you know what? I want you to give your intro because you've done a billion interviews. I want you to say it the way that you truly want people to know about your brand and you.
Love it. Thank you for that permission.
Founder to
How
founder.
is this?
James has the muscles for the EQ, we've realized.
Nice. Yeah, I'm about the learned helplessness. I just sit here like, can you fix it for me?
And that is her intro.
Okay, hi. I am Danielle Gronich, the acne guru, CEO and formulator behind ClearStem Skincare and owner of San Diego Acne Clinic.
Amazing.
So happy to be here with you.
And fellow San Diego native.
We're like 5 miles away from each other.
So funny.
Fellow acne sufferer.
Also fellow acne stuff.
Yeah.
We are both so excited to talk about this because we both grew up with acne and it affected both of us in a very deep way.
It's traumatizing.
I'm sure
Super
you're well aware.
traumatizing. So you're basically everyone's hero, because I know if there's one dermatologist or doctor that I've searched the most for in my life, it's always been an acne guru
That's
or
true.
acne specialist.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. We've all struggled with it to the point where like imprinted our psyches, and like it can be a good thing because it makes you have so much empathy for other people.
Yeah.
So true.
Because when it's everyone has stuff they don't like about themselves, but when it's on your face, it's the front of you. And you literally, every time you look in the mirror or catch a reflection, it's just like the worst thing ever. It really changes how you show up in the world. I mean, I stayed in a toxic relationship because of it.
Yeah.
I didn't apply for promotions. I literally saw myself as a smaller, less worthy person because of what I was going through. So anyway, I went through the whole dermatologist racket. And this is no shade on dermatologists. We love the human beings who chose a career in healing people. But Western medicine has a lot of limitations, especially with acne.
Ooh, my girl.
Right? It's just spironolactone, birth control, antibiotics, and
Yeah.
when those fail, Accutane. I did that whole cycle 3 times. Accutane 3 times. My acne came right back. So that's why I left the corporate world
Wow.
and went back to
Accutane
school.
is no joke.
It's
Yeah.
no
That's
joke.
a lot
It's
to go through.
gnarly to put your
It's hard
body
on
through.
your body, the physical discomfort of the dryness and the flakiness and all of that. To do that 3 times.
Yeah. Did you ever do it?
I did.
Okay. So do you remember? Did you get like your knuckles bleeding and like your
I got
ears peeling?
I got like
My ears,
rosacea
yeah.
kind of vibes on the top of my hands. Like it got super itchy and scratchy and kind of dry skin, and then my scalp was just like shedding. Sorry,
Yeah.
gross, but it was. It's just the
Yeah, my
fact of the
ears were
matter.
bleeding.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was dry
It's so
everywhere. It
weird.
was so bad.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it made the third round. I got all the side effects, but then the third round, my vision was starting to get like permanently affected. And
What?
Yeah, so
And that's supposed to, that's one of the side effects, right? Like severe side effects.
yeah. So anyway, I have a biology background, studied biology, genetics, and immunology, and always kept up with it.
Wow.
So I went back to school. I was like, screw this. I can figure it out myself. I just don't have the right information. And I was Googling, like, how do you take skin classes? You can't take them unless you're an esthetician or enrolled in school. So I was like, screw it. I'll enroll in school. Like I was on a mission,
for
right?
you.
And while I was there, I saw that treating acne specifically was like the medical profession I'd always wanted, but never would have thought of. Because in
Yeah.
my head, it was like, become a surgeon or nothing. You know what I mean? Like you don't like generally go to college to think of becoming an esthetician because it's such a different path.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But that background is probably why you've become so successful in it, right? Because like you did all of the other work and have the context to actually get to the source of the issue and find solutions outside of what you just listed is like the constant and doesn't always work.
I will say, I woke up this morning. So I've been very happy with my skin recently, and I woke up this morning and I was like, I have a pimple coming. And you know that feeling, it's almost like PTSD when you go through this like trauma in your heart of like, oh my God. It sounds so stupid to some people who have not felt this before, but with someone who like, I had severe acne. I still have acne scarring. And so being on camera all the time, I was just like, oh my God.
It's nerve-wracking.
so-
And it's ironic because we're all entrepreneurs in the
Yeah.
beauty space. There's nothing more stressful than being an entrepreneur and feeling like you have to be perfect for the camera all the time.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
stress is the biggest cause of acne, one of them. So it's just like, oh, the cycle that we've now found ourselves in.
Exactly. And then they tell you if you stress more, your acne will get worse. And I'm like, but I'm stressing because of my acne.
Like, you just stressed me out telling me that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what you're doing is phenomenal. Tell us a little bit about how you started developing your brand.
Yeah, totally. So first of all, everyone, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to share a lot of really important tips that you can test immediately and get to know your skin a lot better. And I just remind everyone who's still in the struggling phase of the journey to think of it all as a game. We're just collecting data, right? So anyways,
I like that.
Right? Everything has to
It
be a
doesn't
game.
have to be so heavy, although it can
Yeah.
feel that way. I think to have someone like you say that is very meaningful.
Thank you. Thank you. We got to keep our sense of whimsy and curiosity around the
Like
whole
your
thing.
socks.
Yeah.
Like your whimsical
Yeah,
socks.
your whimsical socks.
I love that.
Thank you. So my story is I was deep in my clinical practice, and I only treat acne, right? San Diego Acne Clinic. I don't do lashes. I don't even know how to curl my own hair. Like all I do is fix like grade 4 acne. So I had a lot of different ethnicities that coming through my door, right? If I have a client who's Indian and another one who's Filipina, like a little tiny breakout can scar them for 6 months. So I can't go do an aggressive, peel on them to get rid of it because that alone could hyperpigment them. So I was like, how do we heal their scars from a different angle? I started formulating a scar revision serum. It had growth factors and arnica, this one doesn't have arnica. It has turmeric, it has willow herb, B5, like a bunch of things targeted for acne. And I couldn't keep it on my shelves in my clinic. And then another patient was an Amazon guy. He put it on Amazon because it healed his skin. And it blew up there. And then at the time I was treating my now co-founder, Kaylee. She had grade 4 acne as well.
Oh my gosh, that's how you met?
She was a patient.
How special.
Yeah, and she had an Instagram following. This was back when Instagram was just kind of becoming a thing. And she's like, let me talk about this. And her community wanted more. And we just started doing it as a hobby. And then it became a full-blown company like 6-7 years ago.
I just got the chills. That's what always happens, though. It's like when you're just doing it for fun, when you're just doing it from passion, that's when things blow up. I feel like that's when things like really come together. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think that's when things last too. Because
Yeah.
like you have to have a purpose. Otherwise the hard stuff, because the hard stuff's coming with a business or a career, right?
Yeah.
The hard stuff's going to come. Like your passion has to be like in step and a little higher than the hard stuff.
For sure.
Fair enough.
And so our whole podcast is really talking about mental health and, our, sorry, what was the line that you used earlier? You had such a specific line that I'm like,
Oh, no. I know
no,
what
I
you're
know,
talking
but
about.
I wanted to say it because
So
I feel like
it's that so basically the Beauty Manifest is a podcast about the beauty industry behind the scenes with an emphasis on mental health and digital boundaries.
digital boundaries.
Oh my God.
So
Okay, yes.
that I feel like your clients must be just coming to you for that problem in itself, right? Just
The mental health
well,
aspect, yes.
mental health because of one having acne, but also just dealing with being like comparing themselves
Oh,
to
gosh.
whatever's on Instagram.
Yeah,
and I
we could
wanted
have
to
a
bring
whole
that
conversation about filters, right? And
Do
like
you-
that world.
Do you get that a lot?
I get it a lot, and I do it more to myself than anything. And I think we as women,
Uh-huh.
we're just so hard on ourselves. Because it's like, okay, my camera makes me look shittier than I would if you were in real life, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like I need to do like a little bit of a brightening thing just to make it
Yeah.
comparable to real
It's
life.
true, yeah.
And then you see everyone else just doing the nothing extra filter, the barely there, and you're like, well, the video itself is just prettier with that. And so this is like all the thoughts that go in my head every time I have to post something. I'm like, okay, well, this video just isn't as good of a video unless I doctor it up a little bit and make it a little more fun. It just looks like crap compared to the other stuff. So it's this constant comparison cycle, and most of it is completely meaningless. Like we make it have meaning in our head, but we get so caught up in it.
Yeah.
And it only takes one person to be like, if you're in skincare, you shouldn't be able to use a filter. And then you look at it and it's like a bot with 8 followers. And you're like, okay, this just, spiked my cortisol for no reason. So
Yeah.
digital boundaries. Yeah, I definitely go off of Instagram as often as I can. And I'm a lot happier when I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I'm really starting to see more and more people express that.
Really?
It's funny because literally earlier, I don't even know when I said this, but I was talking to them and I was like, I built my entire career around social media, and I spend less time on social media than my fiance does, who works in the music industry behind the scenes in business. So like, it's being someone who's been so immersed in it, yourself obviously included, and very much so you, it's very telling to see the three of us all experience it that way and notice that we need a detox from it and notice that we feel better when we're not on it. And it's kind of like this beautiful evil that allows us so much freedom of expression and entrepreneurship, but then simultaneously can tear you down. And like anything else in life, it's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Like our world is super polarized. It can be this or that. But like, I think social media can be beautiful in a lot of ways. As a mental health advocate,
Agree.
I get to create a community in this space. And when I post that I'm struggling, I receive support. And I receive people telling me their stories that make me feel like seen and heard and like I'm not alone. And that's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other side to it.
Yeah, there's so much support that we get on social media too. Like people thanking us every day with like long, handwritten, but text written stories in the DMs about how we've changed their
bet.
lives.
I can
and it's
imagine.
yeah, and I
Wow.
get wedding invitations all the time from people I've never met. They're like, I now want to plan my wedding because ClearStem cleared my skin. So like all of that came from being on social. So it's like love it so much, and I love the mental health aspect because people will reach out and be there for you, and they actually care.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you get to be there for your clients in the same way, like off of social media. I'm sure similar to a hairstylist or similar to a makeup artist, when you have a client sit in your chair and you're discussing the way that you look and the way that you feel and the way you express yourself in this world, it becomes a therapeutic session, I would imagine.
Very much so.
Like you're probably
for
listening.
both of us.
Yeah. From your own experience too, so you can resonate with them. I mean, I'm sure the stories you've heard.
Yeah, there's nothing like it where it's like, because I'm holding someone's head, right? And sometimes while the peel is setting in or the enzyme is doing its thing, I'm just like giving them like a craniosacral massage or holding their head. And like sometimes people just start crying and they don't really know why. And then it makes me cry with them. And we have this like beautiful session. But yeah, there's so much like connection that comes from being makeup artist, hairstylist, anything where you're like physically touching someone is like really special.
Yeah.
Like we're all conduits.
Yeah. Well, I was in the wedding industry for like 10 years doing brides everywhere. And it was the same thing, but it was, they're the most vulnerable, especially Indian brides. Like,
why do you say more for Indian brides?
Well, actually brides in general, but Indian brides have so much pressure that their family, they save their money for their daughters to go get married. And like, I'm into, like, I mean, it's part of the tradition and it is what it is. But for me, I was so heavily involved in it as their makeup artist, but I was also their therapist. I was also their best friend. I was also there for them when they were the most vulnerable, when they were dealing with things like, maybe I don't want to get married to this person. I don't know who this man is. I don't even know if this guy likes women. So it, it was a lot for me to be able to be so empathetic and to be around that energy. I had to be like, okay, Natasha, you have to check yourself out of this, but just be there for them. Because this is the industry and this is the life that I'm in. But whenever I would, actually not a lot of people know this, but every time I would do their wedding day makeup. And I say wedding day because Indian brides have like
Isn't
10
it like
days.
a month-long wedding?
It's like a month-long thing. So on their wedding day, I would always just kind of, because I was married and divorced as well. So I just would always almost like meditate and like, it was kind of like a prayer, but not in a religious way. It was more of like a spiritual, deeper cleanse from like an energy thing where I was just like, I would fast all day for them. And so until they got married, it was like my sacrifice almost in a weird way for them to just give them good energy for their life with this person. And so I
knew you were an angel, but gosh.
It was more like they're going through this thing, and I hope and I wish them all the best in their lives. But these brides, man, they just became my sisters after a while.
And some of them are your friends.
And some
still to this day.
Yeah. Still to this day, they've become, but the connection you build with your client when you're touching their face is so different. And I say this all the time. Acne has been like torturous to my soul, but it brought me to be so empathetic, just like what you said earlier, because now, and because of that, I'm able to work with someone's face and like do their makeup and make them feel really powerful about themselves and confident, rather than feeling like, shit, I just want to cover this acne up. It was more of like, okay, no, this is normal. We all go through this. And that empathy was really powerful for me, I think.
Totally. It's like a heart opener.
It is. Yeah.
Did that happen with you with your co-founder? Like was the experience of working on her and her skin kind of like bonding for the both of you?
Ooh, yes. Love that question. Over the course of me working on her, and we had no agenda, right? Like we enjoyed each other's company, and I'd always make her my last patient of the night so I could just stay for like 2 hours. Yeah. And she had a blog, she had a bit of a following, so she would get products sent to her, like, you know how it is, right? Just the doorbell's ringing 8 times a day, and it's like free serums from like Sunday Riley and like, what are some of the bigger ones that are out there? I don't know, all the organic skincare, like herbivore, like every brand you could think of with every different ethos you can imagine. She was getting sent all these products and trying them. So I would be curious, okay, which ones actually worked? Which ones did you buy on your own? And what was the marketing behind it? So it was just like gathering information and then
wow, yeah, that's a perfect partnership.
Yeah.
right. And that, I learned to do that with all my patients actually. Like, why did you buy this thing? What was it, an ad? Was it something you heard? Was it did they describe a certain ingredient? So I was getting all this marketing information, but then also I just got to see who she was, and it made it really natural when we became partners. It wasn't like it's almost like we had already dated, and the opportunity to get married in this company came up, and it was a yes. Like,
That's
So cute.
I already knew who she was.
Was this your first co-founder?
Yeah.
We're first co-founders. So this is a whole new experience for the both of us too. You know, Natasha's been an entrepreneur since she came out of the womb. This is my first business that I'm starting on my own, but the first time that we've both have a co-founder. So it's a whole new world. It's a lot to navigate, and it's like we totally fell in love with each other. You asked actually earlier when we were setting up how we met, and Natasha literally slid into my DMs.
That's how we met.
That's how we met. And that's how me and my fiance met, except he slid right into my DMs.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great way to meet someone.
Nobody's hitting on me through Instagram because my page is all about acne.
So this is a PSA for Danielle that just because she talks about acne doesn't mean you can't slide into her DMs. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get you a bunch of creeps in here.
I know, seriously.
Let the floodgates open. So I do actually have a lovely boyfriend right now, and he loves it when he gets a pimple because he's like, "Babe, look, I have one. You can come get it." It's actually really cute.
Oh, that's so weirdly cute.
I know, right?
I love it.
Okay, so you guys are new co-founders.
Yes.
Something that Kaylee and I started doing, especially when she moved to LA and we weren't going to be able to work together every day. And things were getting like more intense with the company. Like I was writing bigger checks. I funded it all because I had the money from the clinic. So I was writing all the checks, and then we were doing everything together. But then eventually you have to delineate roles, right? And that we didn't know how to consciously do that. So there became natural tension. Like, hey, I thought you were on top of this. Like, you know more about this. And she's like, well, I thought you were going to do it because you're already doing this thing that was related. Stuff like that kept coming up.
Yeah.
So we actually got a co-founder therapist who's an executive coach, and we keep him. We keep him on retainer for the whole company. He's been instrumental.
That's amazing.
That is such a boss move.
Yeah.
Like if I was interviewing at a company to work there and they're like, "Oh, we have a therapist on retainer," I would be like, "Count me in."
Yeah,
that
it's
says
huge.
so much
Wow.
for the ethos and culture of a brand. Like I applaud you. And I feel like a lot more brands should be looking at doing something like that.
Thank you.
It's funny you bring that up because we've had similar conversations and similar difficulties. And I've always said to Natasha, and she's always agreed, like from the very beginning, we're like, if and when we want or need a therapist, we are both in a second. Like it's not even in fact, like before we need a therapist is when you want to dive. You know what I mean? So like.
I've never actually seen a therapist. I really think I
Are you
need
serious?
to. Yeah.
You're so
you know
well
why?
adjusted.
I'm from Hong Kong. This is like taboo.
Oh, wow.
Think about that. I'm Indian from Hong Kong. Like if I
did
told
I
my
not know
family,
about this about you, though?
and I've always wanted to, but everyone's like,
Just phrase it as
you
a
don't need
coach.
one. You don't need one. I'm like, but I do. I've been through so much, dude. I need a fucking therapist.
If you had a childhood and you still have a pulse, you need a therapist.
Yeah. Oh.
But you could just phrase it as a coach. Everyone's okay with coaching, but it's because of how they feel about how they've looked at their own issues or
Exactly.
not. So it has nothing to do with
That's
them.
true.
Or with you. It has to do with them.
But it's also like I'm at this place in my life where I don't really care what people say.
There you
it's just
go.
also, so I would do it. I just honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but I haven't had the time. Maybe that's why I need to make the time.
But you are intentional about your growth and looking at yourself. Like you see healers.
Yes, I do.
You're not seeing,
And you're a healer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are.
I appreciate that. It's a different kind of healing. But yeah, I think everyone has a little bit of healer in them. And it's like how you bring it out of people. And I feel like I know what my purpose in life is. So I'm working towards that goal every day. Like that's what so even with business being so stressful, I know what I want in life is to bring sunshine to people's lives. Like it's so cheesy.
But you do. You
But
really
I-
get
yeah.
high on making people happy.
Yes, I do get high on that for sure.
Yeah. So after you guys started to work with a therapist, did things become a lot more smooth?
Yeah, what we got from him was a lot of tools. Kaylee's and my brains work pretty differently. Sometimes we read each other's minds. Like I'd say most of the time we read each other's minds now. But her brain works differently than mine. And she went to school for marketing. I went to school for more the science, right? So, but we both speak a little bit of both. So if you're a scientist, it's all about saying, I need more data. I can't give you an answer right now. Or you say something, but with a context. Whereas with marketing, it's more like, no, this is what you need. You know, it's
Right.
there's just, it's a balance, I would say, right? So what we learned from each other was to respect and love those differences. And then also a set of tools. The favorite one that I use that I'm actually implementing with my family right now, it's called the cleanup. If you say something and you were busy or you felt like it didn't come out that way, the way that you wanted, or you can tell the other person it didn't land with them the way that you intended. You say, hey, I want to clean something up with you. I feel like I wanted to word that better. And you say it the perfect way.
I like that.
It's so healing for both people, and it gets rid of like 90% of issues.
I think
I feel like I naturally do that, but I want to use that cleanup term so that it's very clear to the other person.
because I can spend a lot of time kind of ruminating on something that I said, and it's even happened with
It's because
us.
you're a conscious person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm very energetically sensitive to other people, and it drives me nuts, and it'll stay with me. And you too, all of us
Oh my
obviously are very empathetic. So I like that a lot because it's very direct, and it's just like, okay, this is a cleanup. And so we both know exactly what it is. We'll take that tool.
I'm definitely taking that with my personal relationship.
Share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think the world just needs more tools. Like we all want the same thing, but we're not taught these tools, and they can be so simple. Like it's almost like we just need an entry point in order to have the conversation that we want to have.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I want to clean this up and say it better. Like it's so simple, and it allows for so much on the other side.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, and
like a
it's
good-
very much so you, and not about like, because even saying like, I don't think this landed with you the way I wanted it to, it's still like kind of saying it to them or about them, where like saying, oh, I want to clean this up. It's like, it was my mess.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you're taking full accountability
Exactly.
in a very neutral way.
Yeah, and it takes the pressure off of someone else, and it draws the refocus back to what you're trying to say in the first place. You're like, hey, let's double click on this. Like, here's what I meant, and I wanted to say it even better. And it gives us all a chance to say what we wanted to say in a more effective way. So it's practicing better communication. Like it's just a win-win for everybody.
Yep. I totally see
So
that.
awesome. What other tools? I love this. I'm like digging all the tools from you.
Acknowledgement. We do sometimes a circle of acknowledgement, especially when you're moving so fast, right?
Yeah.
And you're just, it can be a month and you appreciate people, but it's like, I want to really acknowledge you for having this really difficult conversation with this supplier. It needed to be had, and I was not looking forward to it, and thank you for doing it and doing it so well. Something like that.
Do you do this with the whole team?
We, not as much as I should, you kind of forget these things until you get reminded of them. But we do infuse acknowledgments into the company regularly.
That's awesome.
How big is your team?
About 16 right now. For ClearStem, it's about 16, and then we have about 8 offshore. Lovely, lovely team in the Philippines that runs our customer service. We adore them. They're part of the family too.
Amazing.
So 16 here, and everyone's remote too. So you can imagine communication is like,
It's even more important.
yeah, communication is just so fragmented with time zones and styles and all that stuff. So that, and then at the clinic, I have 3 girls that work for me. So
Amazing.
You're managing a lot of people.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And working with that time difference is crazy. I know, because Hong Kong. Also, by the way, I speak fluent Tagalog.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So if you ever need anything in the Philippines.
I feel like we need to do just a one-off episode of just all your special talents.
No. That's not a special talent. But I speak Tagalog, and like it really helps
How
when
did
I'm
you
working
learn
with.
that?
My mom is born in the Philippines.
Okay.
So she's Indian, but she's born in the Philippines. So my grandma lives there, and they basically are like a Filipino family.
So you're saying you know how to make lumpia?
Of course. Well, I don't know how to
my
make lumpia. And also the lumpias. Do you know what lumpias are?
I don't.
They're delicious.
They're like fried rolls.
Okay.
We grew up with
I
like
like anything
cheese
fried.
lumpia. Yeah, it's so yummy. Oh my God. Do you get them here?
There's not enough Filipino food in San Diego. There's like one spot that I know of, but that's it. But I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah?
We had this one coworker at my first job in insurance, and she would always bring lumpia for everyone's birthday, and she was the star on those days.
See, it's a Filipino thing. Sometimes I feel like I have these Filipino tendencies, which is very much like bringing food and feeding everyone. And it's Indian and Filipino, but very Filipino.
Love it.
Yeah, lumpias. Yeah.
So I want to go back to like acne and just like the impacts on mental health, because I feel like it's pretty, actually it's not that rare. So many people have experienced it, but I think
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting that all three of us experienced it, and we're all three in the beauty industry, and we're all three very empathetic. So what was it like for you growing up with acne? Like, how did it impact you? What was your experience with it?
Ooh, you know, during high school, I don't remember it being bad. I was also very much a tomboy.
Okay.
Like, wore boxers under my pants and sagged my pants. Like,
Oh my God,
literally
that's
a
badass.
tomboy.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
That's very
My mom
cool.
was like, she would take me shopping and I'd go to the boys department like until I was like 14. So anyway, I didn't care how I looked. I was a soccer player. I played competitive soccer all year long. So I was detoxing a lot, never wore sunscreen, never wore makeup. Kind of didn't have any issues that I recall. When I got to college, I stopped playing soccer, started, you know, started liking boys and started wearing makeup. I got on birth control, but it was the wrong birth control, so it actually made my acne worse. It was the NuvaRing.
Oh, no.
And then you start partying and eating shitty food
Yeah.
and not washing your face. I had no skin hygiene habits whatsoever, so that's when my acne got bad, was in college. It was devastating because it was all over my body too. It was on my chest, my neck, my back, like my thighs, everywhere, right? So it was really devastating. It was just, I spent like 2 hours a day doing camouflage makeup. I wouldn't hug people because I didn't want my makeup to get on their clothing, because then I'd have to go to the bathroom and do more concealer.
I remember those
And
days.
fast forward to like my 20s, and this is after 2 rounds of Accutane. I'm still breaking out. It's still on my chest, like even that bad. And I'd have to call ahead to restaurants to see what the lighting was like, to see if I needed to wear a turtleneck. Like, it was bad. Everything became so strategic.
Yeah.
As I got later in my 20s, it really affected my mental health. I stayed in an emotionally abusive relationship because I really didn't think I could do better. And you know, it fucks with your, pardon my French, are we allowed to say that
Yeah.
here? Okay.
Yeah.
Messes with your dopamine when you're looking in the mirror. Like, nature rewards hygiene with dopamine. Like, we're supposed to like get a dopamine release when we brush our teeth and tend to ourselves and our hygiene. But when you have acne, the opposite happens. You're tending to yourself, but your skin's getting worse and you feel worse about yourself.
Yeah.
So it like totally screws with your wiring and your psychology if it lasts long enough. So I for sure had that. Was an antidepressant.
Interesting.
Thank you. I think it was more about every pharmaceutical failing that was the most devastating, because you get your hopes up.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't answer any questions about diet or lifestyle. Like, I felt like my hair product was breaking me out, and the doctor was like, "Oh, we don't have any white paper on that. Here's more Accutane."
My gosh.
It was just devastating to just be like disregarded in that way over and over for a decade.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely affected my mental health, but the drive to solve it became that much stronger. So I'm grateful for what I went through.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how life experiences become so much of your purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look back on it and it was like, I mean, my mental health struggles was the hardest part of my life, no doubt. And now it's become one of the most positive things in my life, because I get to help other people with it, or I get to like create a voice for it, you know?
Yeah. How much of your mental health struggle was because of skin?
Yeah, so definitely growing up. So I did have acne from a younger age, probably around like elementary school. It started to pop up. And for me, I'm sure it was always worse in my head than it was to other people. I never had, you know, like really intense scarring that lasted, but I always had like really big cystic acne that I would have like 4 or 5 of them at a time. And by the time they cleared up, I would have about 3 days before the next batch came back around. So it was constant. And what I started to experience was when I was getting ready, and still to this day I struggle with this, even though it's not about acne, but it like still comes out sometimes. I would always be getting ready, and like you said, you're doing like camouflage makeup, right? You're like covering your face. You're sitting there for like 2 hours, hyper fixated on covering up this one spot. And I'd start to get dressed, and I'd be staring at that spot, and I would just go into a full-blown anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Been
And
there.
I would start crying and hyperventilating, and I could not go out. Like, then I didn't want to go out, and I would cancel my plans, or I would make an excuse, and I would stay in my room and like just be so sad. And like, of course that cycle creates depression. Like, I'm punishing myself for something that was completely out of my control. And still to this day, I think from that experience, I cannot rush myself to get ready when I'm getting dressed or doing my makeup or something. If I'm too rushed, even this morning when I was coming over, like I got a little stressed because there's more traffic than I expected. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get ready fast. And I know that if I push myself to get ready too quickly, something in my brain bounces back to being a kid and being like, I don't have time to make myself presentable. And that's not how I feel anymore.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of EMDR, a lot of work to be very happy and content with myself. I'm not perfect. It's, lifelong journey. But it almost like clicks back in. Like it's like a subconscious thing. And so it still has an impact on me in a way. But yeah, it was really heavy. And I was also a competitive dancer. And so there was like a lot of presentation that came with that. There's always layers, but how about you, Natasha?
My God, I'm actually getting emotional talking about it. Like I'm holding back my tears because this is, for me, I go through like ups and downs, but my skin has been the one thing that has made me so insecure in my life. Like I was bullied so badly in high school. I had kids calling, saying like, you're so ugly, pimply skin, you're so fat, you should die. Like it was rough growing up. And then
Lord, that's
only
awful.
child. Yeah, it was awful. It was so bad. And when I say it now, and I say it like as a joke, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I was so bullied. But actually it is why I'm so insecure still when I look in the mirror. And it is why I created a makeup brand, is because I was like, if I'm able to give someone this confidence through doing their makeup, and I've never felt like this, like how are they looking in the mirror and taking selfies and saying, shit, I'm so beautiful right now. And when they do that, I'm like, I'm powerful. I'm like, I suddenly feel like I have magic in my hands. And so that's why I created my brand. But for me, it was because of my insecurities, because I could never look in the mirror and be like, wow, until I created my own brand that I'm trying to, and my whole brand is about speaking positivity into existence.
Yeah.
But how do you do that when I look at myself and I'm always like, I feel like a hypocrite, I'm always constantly criticizing. And it was always because of my skin. And I actually have a crazy story to tell you. So I just moved to LA about 2 years ago. I met this phenomenal fiance of mine now.
He is wonderful.
He's so cute. I love him.
Shout out to Kosh.
A shout out to Kosh. You're gonna love this. Little diva. Anyway, he's such a sweetheart. So I met him, and so he flew to Dubai to meet me because he was like after our third date in LA. So imagine I'm here on a business trip. And he's like, I'm going to come see you in Dubai. I was living in Dubai. He flew to see me on New Year's Eve. And then shortly after, he was like, I want you to live with me in LA. And I was like, what? This is crazy. But I did it. And so I moved to LA in March. And I had a dermatologist reach out to me and say, hey, can you come to my clinic and give me a shout out? And I want to do a bunch of lasers on you. I was like, yeah, sure. Because I have my clinics all over the world that I work with. And I, do post for them and do all that. So I did. Oh my God.
What happened?
My whole face. Melinda met me that week, actually. She was the only person, my new friend, that I trusted enough to meet after I did this laser. And like my whole face was burnt. And for 3 months, I had severe acne. And imagine, I'm telling you the whole story because just picture this. I met a guy, moved in with him, and woke up every morning with severe acne. And that, I look back and I'm just like, okay, it gave me the confidence to know and trust him, because I have trust issues, that this guy truly loves me, because I was at my worst and he would still be like, you're so beautiful. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm disgusting. But like it broke me and I didn't go out. I'm a social butterfly. I love going out. I love making friends. But literally for 5 months, I did not go out.
That's true. Now that I think about it in retrospect, like you were quiet,
my
which
heart
I
is,
didn't
like,
realize because we were still new friends. But now I'm like, man,
It was my
that was
acne.
very quiet for you.
My acne completely affected my personality.
It does that.
It does that. So that's why I'm so grateful for people who are actually making a difference and actually healing people from within. I think you're actually healing people from within.
That's what we talk about all the time. It's healing it from within. There's digestion, there's gut health, but then there's digestion that should be thought of differently. Like we're educating people the way that their derms are not able to educate them, so that they can shine brighter. Like the thought that your light, Natasha, got dimmed at all because of acne, that just made me double down on my purpose. Like,
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. And I can tell you this, like, I never want to be in that place again, but I also don't want anyone to feel like that. That was like, and also then it,
imagine if you had paid like $4,000 for that treatment.
I mean, yeah,
That's
but
what happens.
that's what
Sometimes you go and
happens.
pay for it,
gosh.
and then it backfires on you. That happened to me like 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's horrible.
And then there's this whole idea of, I think, I don't know if normalizing it is the right word, but making people who are going through the experience of having acne feel okay about it and not feeling desperate to fix it. Of course, acne, first of all, is just physically uncomfortable. Like, people are like, oh, you look fine. I'm like, no, you don't understand. When you have like cystic, deep,
Hurts to sleep.
it
hurts.
It hurts. It's uncomfortable. You're always aware of it because you can feel it. So it's not just like, oh, I don't look good. But then also, it absolutely is that, because look at the society we live in. Look at social media and how we compare ourselves. AI and filters that are virtually, if not completely impossible to recognize what's real or not anymore. And I feel like there are some content creators out there who are very brave and who are putting their skin all out there.
Yeah, look at Alex Earl. She's
Acne
become
and all.
famous because of it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really
It's
cool.
like hot girls get acne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That
Literally.
normalizing.
Sexy people get acne. Like,
Like,
that's the
imagine
new
if we
normal.
had that when we were kids. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that would fix it. I'm not going to say sit here. Like, I think it's amazing, and it's probably so helpful for people to feel seen and be like, oh my gosh, they can do this and like still have acne.
Yeah.
But it's still hard. But like, imagine if we had that, it would have helped a lot, I think.
That would have been amazing back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the bright sides of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For sure.
true.
Totally.
But I will say in Asia,
Yeah.
growing up, or actually just even now, it is so weird. I don't know. When I go to India, if I have a pimple, someone will be like, "Oh, look, you have a pimple."
Oh my God, they do that
Like-
in a lot of cultures.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's normal. I don't know what other cultures
We're,
do it, but
I'm half Peruvian. You would never know it, but we have the Latinness in my family, and it's like
Okay.
they literally they nickname you based on your looks.
Yeah.
If you're skinny, you're flaca. If you're
my
not that
gosh.
attractive, they call you thea. Like, it's mean.
It's
but It's so
mean.
normal.
It's mean.
Like,
That's true, actually.
Yeah. So wait, how has your culture affected your
you know,
well-being?
My family was always super supportive. I mean, they would know it was there, and they would be like, hopeful that the next thing I was trying was going to work. But they never. My culture didn't impact that in the way that we're talking about. It
Okay,
wasn't
that's
as
good.
like blatant.
Oh my
It would have
gosh.
sucked if it was more blatant.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like most people I grew up with all are so badly affected by the way that our culture can be, just Asian culture, not even just Indians, but like just in Hong Kong, if you're skinny, they will tell you you're too skinny. Or if someone's gained weight, they'll be like, wow, you've gotten so fat. And this is what I love about living in LA. I always say this to Melinda. I'm like, people are so nice.
She moved here and said that, and I was like, I'm sorry, do you know where you are? Like, LA is not known for nice people. But there are really nice people here.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely, especially when you look at from a cultural, like, I don't know if cultural is the right word, but like from a progressive standpoint, like there's a lot more, maybe it's the wellness industry that's kind of impacted it, but a lot more just consideration and intention behind how you interact with people.
Yes.
Like, for example, I don't feel like you would walk around LA very much anymore and someone's going to make a compliment about what you look like, or if you look like you've lost weight. Like, that's almost become like so
Yeah.
passe,
Yeah.
like, and also inappropriate. And like, you come across it occasionally, especially when there's like different cultural backgrounds that are like coming in. But for the most part, I didn't experience that to nearly to the level that you've expressed growing up in California. And now I did, for sure. Like, definitely, especially being a dancer.
Yeah.
People are always like, oh, you look this way or you look that way. It's always about your body. But like, again, not to the extent that you've expressed.
But I think that is just most of my friends in Asia will say, I'm not saying Asia's bad or anything, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And they're just used to it. So my friends are like, oh, just get over it. It's Asia. You're too sensitive. But for me, maybe I'm built to be here so that I can deal with it because I grew up with such bad insecurities, I'm unable to deal with those things or to listen to it.
You know,
take
I
it
wish
in.
that the commentary, I love candid commentary, but I wish it would be less about like appearances and more about like, oh, you're communicating a lot better lately.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, or like if someone's like, you know, in a negative kick and like all they do is complain lately, like you're complaining too much lately, knock it off. Like
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have that sort of feedback about things that actually matter, like
Exactly.
emotional intelligence.
I
Yeah.
mean, my favorite compliment is when someone tells me that my energy makes them feel good.
Yeah, me too.
Like they feel safe around me, or like
I feel safe around
lifted
you.
them up. Or,
Cuddle,
yes,
cuddle.
I know. You're blocked out by your mic.
I can't cuddle this damn mic. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, thank you both for sharing. Like, I just feel like there's so many people out there who are struggling with it or have struggled with it, and it's like, it's a journey. Not to sound cheesy, but it's a journey,
Totally.
physically and mentally.
Well, there's some, back to making it a game, making it easier. There are some things that people can start testing
Yes.
immediately.
You mentioned this, and
Yeah.
I've like, you left me on a cliffhanger. I was like, ooh, what are these tips? What are these things to look for?
So dietary triggers. A lot of people are eating eggs really frequently, and eggs can be a trigger, an acne trigger for a lot of people.
Okay.
And it can be creating a ton of cystic acne, especially in the lymphatic area of the face. It's not going to get you so much in the forehead. It'll get you more like in the nasolabial folds and in the bottom of the jaw and going down the neck where the lymph nodes are. So if people are eating eggs every day, like as a main source of protein, or even eating eggs like a few times a week, they should cut that out for at least 2 months.
Okay.
And then see what change they notice, and then reintroduce them on purpose to see if they notice any spikes in acne. It's a huge trigger for, I would say, at least like 60% of people. Like it's a big chunk of people.
I actually don't eat eggs. And maybe that's why. Because I have such a, I
you
feel like
eat
I'm
eggs growing up?
intolerant. Yes, I always used to eat eggs. I loved it. But I always feel
miss them.
intolerant to it. But then recently I'm like, no, I'm not even going to touch eggs. Maybe it was because somewhere down the line I must have broken out and realized that and cut it out and then just forgotten that was,
Maybe.
yeah.
Possibly. Well, if something's not agreeing with you when you eat it, it's probably creating inflammation. And if you're acne prone, inflammation anywhere in your body can show up as acne.
Okay.
So that's, your body was probably just giving you some clues there.
I have a question about coffee because my theory is that coffee breaks me out.
Oh, it totally breaks me out. The more I have.
Oh my God, this is confirmation I needed.
So it's caffeine in general, right?
Okay.
But like a lot of coffee also has like mycotoxins and mold, and it's just not very good quality. And then I don't know about you, but I don't drink coffee black. I have to have sugar in it. So if I'm having coffee, I make sure to have it as late in the morning as possible, like maybe around like 10. And I make sure to have a ton of water first and have my protein balanced first. The worst thing you can do for your cortisol is to have coffee first thing in the morning. But doing a little bit of matcha, and then I put some protein powder in it, some vanilla protein powder in it, and I just sip it slowly. That seems to be okay.
smart.
But coffee totally breaks me out in excess.
Matcha lover. I know as soon as she got here on Saturday, she was like, matcha?
I needed it.
And
So I was
yes.
driving around looking for one, and then I got here and I saw yours, and it was the best matcha I've ever had.
She always has a good
Matcha boba.
Okay, so eggs, coffee.
Dairy is a big one. Dairy and excess vitamin D. People don't know this, but excess vitamin D. So when I say excess, I mean more than call it more than 125% RDV, like your daily value. If you're taking that in a supplement form and you're breaking out on your chin, it could be from the buildup of extra vitamin D because it can spike testosterone. Vitamin D.
Is that why you don't like more than 6 inches? Sorry, I had to.
No, you had to.
I had to. It was there.
I love
Sorry.
So dairy and D, where you'd have a goatee. Think of it like that.
Oh, okay.
It gets you right where you'd have a goatee, like corners of the mouth down.
Gotcha.
Oh, interesting. And this is for both men and women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But women, we break out more often because of our hormonal fluctuations. So, and we're also the ones taking more vitamins, generally speaking. So if you have a multivitamin and it has a lot of vitamin D and you're breaking out on your chin, cut it out for a few weeks.
Okay.
Like I've seen this extra vitamin D be the difference between clear and not clear.
Wow.
Like a ton of times in my clinic.
Wow.
So yeah, that, and then too much B12. A lot of women are taking a lot of B12.
It breaks
And
you
it
up.
breaks us out. Yeah, in high doses. Dosage is everything.
Every
Balance is
time
everything.
I've had a drip and they put B12 in it, I'm like, no, I know I'm going to get a pimple. And I
Same.
do. Really?
And I get them for free, and it kills me because I can't do
my
most of the
gosh.
drips. I just do the glutathione. And
Yeah, me
because all the B
too.
complex ones totally break me out.
Yeah, same.
Love IVs.
I know. I love glutathione. Is my I need it. I need it.
I love it. I
So
inject
good.
myself, and it actually hurts because it's like a big horse needle, but I love the pain.
You should have brought some.
They're in my fridge.
That would be
I love
interesting
that.
content.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Do you have any more tips that you need? That you wanna share?
Was that the main ones that you wanted
Those
to
are
get
the
through?
main ones. Checking for pore clogging ingredients is really important. We have a checker on our website. And to not assume that something is acne safe, especially if it's clean or organic. Clean and organic skincare have broken people out like crazy.
Exactly.
Or like organic coconut oil will just give you organic pimples. They're not cuter. So checking and removing for pore cloggers, and then also hair care. Hair care can break people out a lot,
Yeah.
especially on the upper back.
Okay.
So,
That was a big one I didn't mention, but I had back knee a ton for not the entire time, but probably a good 4 years.
okay.
And I felt like changing my pillowcase every night is what saved me. I probably would have been better off changing my hair care, but I wasn't quite to that level yet.
Well, you didn't back then. No one
Yeah,
really
it
talked
was-
about it.
But
so,
it was the
yeah.
constant changing of my pillowcase, and it made a big difference.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad you figured it out. Everyone's gonna find out what works for them.
Yeah, I
But
know.
there are some things that really impact just about everybody. Dairy, excess vitamin D, and eggs are enormous triggers, and pore
Yeah.
clogging ingredients as far as the external triggers.
I'm just so incredibly grateful for someone like you who is addressing the topics outside of Western medicine. Like you said, I had chronic nausea for 3 years because of antidepressants and how they were prescribed for me. And I went to doctor after doctor, and no one talked to me about my diet. Nobody talked to me about anything. They were just like, oh, you need to lower your stress levels, until I went and found a holistic doctor who got to the source of it in one session after
Wow.
3 years of chronic nausea.
What was the solution?
Well, essentially what happened was changing antidepressants too quickly shot my nervous system. And so my nervous system wasn't sending the necessary signals to create certain enzymes for breaking down food that was developing chronic nausea. And so she gave me whole food supplements that kind of helped repair my stomach and helped support those enzymatic deficiencies.
That's a really smart doctor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Within 3 days of taking the whole food supplements, I got part of my appetite, most of my appetite back, a good amount of it. Within a week, my nausea started to subside after 3 years. And I can only liken it to my mission of trying to get to the source of my acne. And it's the same thing. It's just you get so lost, and there's so much information out there, and so much misinformation, and so much lack of information. And to be able to go to someone who's going to look at you holistically as a human being, all parts of you, listen to you, and talk to you about your diet, talk to you about all of your options without just throwing things at you that could cause all other side effects. It's so, thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
No, it's definitely your purpose, it sounds like.
Yeah.
you so
It's
much.
magical what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're making me feel so good.
Well, thank
that's
you
the
for
truth.
coming
Thank you for
on
being
with
here.
us. Yes, I feel like there's where can our viewers find more information from you?
I am. My Insta is Danielle, the Acne Guru, and then ClearStem Skincare has a lot of information as well. That's at ClearStem Skincare. Our website is just clearstem.com. More information than people have ever gotten. So it's just if you start there, read a couple blogs, listening to our podcast, we talk a lot about. There are some podcasts where we go really deep into all the triggers, like the Dr. Will Cole one. We got really into the nitty gritty. So if someone wants to learn more, they can listen to another episode. But really, just consuming some of the content on our blog is going to be really transformative.
Yeah, I mean, today you posted something 6 hours ago, how to reduce an acne inflammation in
cystic
a
one.
day, a cystic acne in 1 day or something like that. And I was just telling them, this is what I need. I'm okay, so I went and I put ice, reduced
And it feels good. You're
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my go-to. So thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I'm so happy that we met.
Me
I'm
Really,
so happy that we got
really.
to meet too.
Honestly, though, what a magical serendipity of things.
And truly meant to be to have you on today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right.
Oh, you guys.
All right, another another episode wrapped, and we're still getting used to how to use
mics.
professional microphones.
Cost. Oops.
Well, that was wonderful. I felt like we all connected so deeply.
It was really nice.
I don't know. Let us know what you think. As always, we want to hear from you. Any feedback that you have, positive or negative, just constructive would be preferred.
Yeah, please.
But
We don't have time for BS.
Exactly.
Neither do you.
We're cutting through the BS with this podcast is our hope. So always be honest with us. Always let us know what you think. Follow us on our socials at The Beauty Manifest so you can engage with us and we can really build the community that we're hoping to create.
Yeah.
And thanks
I got
for being
distracted
here.
by your cute toes. I didn't realize Melinda has the cutest toes. This is
Which is such a weird...
her toes are so
I'm
cute.
not showing my feet to camera. This is not a
Oh
foot
my
fetish
God,
podcast.
I've never seen toes cuter in my
Yeah. Order the premium subscription for the foot content. Thank you, James.
Oh my God.
James,
oh my God.
James shall be my foot manager. And on that note,
On that note,
raw and real.
we'll keep it raw and real always.
Keep it raw and real, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.